Coming up on Actua-Europa, Raymond Finch, a member of the European Parliament from the United Kingdom and a great supporter of Brexit. He exclusively analyses his arguments on Actua TV. This is Chara Gkioka. Stay tuned. Less than a week before UK makes a momentous decision to stay in or leave the European Union, the latest polls reveals the majority to tend preferring a path outside the EU. What seems to happen by now is that after June the 23rd, the United Kingdom will leave the European Union and the European Parliament might lose 73 of its members. Indicatively, and according to YouGov poll published in The Times just a few days ago, the 45% of British people want to leave the Union and the 40% of them to stay in. Yet, in the same survey, there is a 15% that claims to be undecided. In front of these numbers, and just a breath before the final result, Actua-Europa is visiting European Parliament to interview Raymond Finch, a fighter of Brexit, and ask for concrete answers in a series of issues. Let's see what he has to state. Mr. Finch, welcome, and thank you for this interview. Well, to begin with, first of all, may you briefly and to the point state your personal position?
My personal position is that not just the United Kingdom, but all of Europe, all of the EU is better if the UK leave the European Union.
That's simple.
Yeah.
Well, okay then. I have to say that the majority of top UK economists claim that UK's economy will drop. We even have potentially a recession. How can you argue on that?
Easily. Do you remember the 2008 crash? None of them predicted that. Economists don't know what's going to happen. It's an easy job. The only economist I know of who actually did predict it is a gentleman called Jim Mellon, who is now a billionaire, who predicted it, and he says we'd be better off if we leave.
Mr. Finch, allow me to argue with you to this point, because this is very easy. Is it very easy to say that economist is a very easy job to do? Do you have any other arguments?
Frankly, they're wrong. The fact is, economists never get it right. They didn't predict the 1929 Wall Street crash. They have a history of getting it wrong. The fact is, we know from a political perspective that it is better and better for our wealth as well as our health that we leave. The fact is that the UK can work much better as an independent trading nation than it can do as part of a bloc of 28 who take 6, 8, 10 years to negotiate one simple deal.
One of your colleagues, Mr. Farage, he stated that if UK is out of the European Union, then the wages will grow a little bit.
Of course.
But economically speaking, when the wages are growing, then an economy is not that much competitive anymore.
The fact is, wages are important. For the last 10 years, if you were an ordinary working class person in the United Kingdom, your standard of living has gone down and down and down. And these are the people who are important to the United Kingdom. It's not about big business doing whatever they want. It's about the wealth and the health of every single person in the United Kingdom. And we believe that it's better for those people if we are out of the European Union even.
Well, there are quite a few businesses located in the UK just because UK is part of the European Union.
Yeah.
And they contribute billions
in
the country's economy.
Absolutely.
And they offer job positions. So I have to ask, how can you jeopardize thousands of jobs and billions of euros in UK's economy by dragging UK outside the European Union?
It's not jeopardising anything. The fact is the European Union is and always has been the product and the plaything of the German manufacturers. Now, last year alone, we were Germany's biggest export market. They had over a €51 billion trade surplus with the United Kingdom. Now, in the boardrooms of Bosch and Volkswagen Audi and Mercedes, they will go to Angela Merkel and say, we want a free trade deal with the United Kingdom. Otherwise, the German economic miracle dies and we have hundreds of thousands of German workers unemployed. They have to do that.
I absolutely understand your point, but I have to insist a little bit because I am actually referring to businesses that are located in the UK just because UK is part of the European Union?
Because we have access to the market, we still will have access to the market. That's precisely why. Because the German big business and other big businesses across Europe will not allow the European Union to try and force an unfair deal on the United Kingdom, because it's not in the interests of the European Union. We are the 5th biggest economy in the world, and we are the biggest export market for the European Union. You will never, no businessman will ever alienate his biggest customer, ever.
Why, if UK sets an example for other countries to live, why if a domino phenomenon follows? And why if Europe goes back in the 50s? Who will get any kind of benefit
back in the 50s
out of this situation, except from the competitors of the European Union?
The fact is, it is for every individual nation and its people to decide what they want to do. It's not for me to decide for them, it's not for you to decide.
Absolutely.
It's not for big business to decide. If those nations and their people want to leave the European Union, then they should be able to. Otherwise, they're being held against their will. If you look at all of the major trading blocs around the world, the European Union is the only one that insists on political union as well as trading. All we want is a free trade area where we can trade both in the European Union and make our trade deals outside, and particularly with the countries in the third world who are now suffering because the European Union is a customs union that places heavy restrictions on trade from outside.
To change a little bit the topic, in front of the refugee crisis, do you believe that United Kingdom will be safe alone? And do you believe that it's better off for European Union to be fragmented?
Right. The migrant crisis, because it's not just about refugees. The head of the European Migration Agency said 80% of the people allegedly Syrian are not Syrian at all. So it's about migration, it's not about refugees to a large extent. The fact is, because we are an island, if we have control of our borders, it's much easier for us to defend those borders.
Doesn't the European Union
we will
try to control the borders on a European level by applying European policies?
Yeah, but that's what I was saying. The fact is, it's not about Europe as an EU. It's about 28 different nations who all have their own perspective. And if the people of Hungary don't want to take hundreds of thousands of people, then they shouldn't have to. The original problem came from Angela Merkel, who said anyone can come. And that was an utter disaster. And when they all came, she closed the borders of Germany and left all of those migrants to scatter around Europe. And it's her problem. She should deal with it. If she wants these migrants, then Angela Merkel should take them into Germany. And I tell you what, if she does, she'll be out of power by Christmas.
I was speaking about refugees actually, but migrants, because you said about migrants, they are contributing at least 1% in the GDP of a country if they are integrated properly in a country. So why we should create fear against migrants?
Who's creating fear? We're not. What we're saying is we want a point system for migrants, so that we can take the people who are necessary for the well-being of the United Kingdom. At the moment, the European Union actually has a racist immigration policy, because it says that anyone from anywhere in the European Union is superior than perhaps a doctor from Kenya or a physical scientist from India. What we want is to get everybody together and say, right, we need these people, we will take them. It doesn't matter where in the world they come from, because we don't care. This is not about fear of migration. What it is that because the European Union's open borders, free movement, it has caused a loss in living standards in working class people, because it's a simple law of supply and demand. If you have nearly 500 million potential workers, then it's overwhelmingly on the side of the bosses. If that is restricted, then the balance becomes more even, so that workers can say, I would like holiday pay, I would like a pay rise, I don't want to work 60 hours a week, I want to work 40 or 35. So This is about redressing the balance so ordinary people now have a chance to make a proper life.
So actually, what are you suggesting?
What am I suggesting?
To close the borders?
No, not to close the borders.
Outside?
No, not to close the borders, just to take in those people that the United Kingdom believes we should have. If they're doctors, if they're plumbers, if they're metal workers, if they're lawyers, if they're television presenters, then we'll take them.
So basically what the UK can afford?
What is best for the UK? Not what we can afford, what is best for us. Everybody looks after themselves first.
Isn't this a racist policy also? Because you said that
Again,
EU has a racist policy.
Because we don't care. If you're black, if you're Jewish, if you're Muslim, if you're Asian, it doesn't matter to us. All that matters.
Yes, but you choose the best for the UK. You said that you choose the best for UK.
But it doesn't matter where those people are from, what religion they are, what colour they are.
Neither for the
We don't
European
care.
Union, I guess.
The European Union does, because it says that people from Europe are superior, so they can get easier access to jobs and benefits in the United Kingdom and in other countries, rather than someone from outside.
Well, that's a viewpoint. I have to sincerely thank you. And thank you for staying with us.
Actua TV. Het hele verhaal.